Warning. The following podcast contains politics, leftist politics, the whole truth, justice, American way thing. We live in a time where one has to post this. Progress is a dirty word, such as science and reason. My superheroes would weep. This podcast contains naughty language as well. Welcome everybody to DC Domingo number 27. Title of this podcast is Progress. Boy, what a week. I usually don't do like weekly shows, but we've had a lot of stuff to cover. Quick rundown of the things we're going to cover. We're going to do a quick plug into my blog. Many of you asked me what I thought of Black Panther. We're going to cover briefly the review for there, and I'll plug it in my blog, where you can read the point-by-point discussion. We're also going to talk about there's some white writer who talks smack about Catwoman. The big news, obviously, is Joss Whedon getting fired. There's new rumors about the Snyder CUT. Also, there's a new BP in the WB world. Chantal Nong, like marketing and stuff. Bruno Bichir, it's a Mexican actor in Doom Patrol and the Teen Titans TV show. My opinion on Brainiac and the Krypton TV show on the SyFy network. And a couple other cool stuff, so, it's kind of a lengthy podcast, but I'm going to try to keep it brief. That's how we roll. Let's get started. All right, so let's get the subject out of the way so we can move on to DC stuff. Big Panther is getting a lot of good stuff box office wise, and there's a lot of hype and a lot of social media interaction. I like the conversation that people are having about this. I don't like the trolling. I don't like all the other crap that comes along with it. If people talked about the subject matters that this discussion is prompting, we wouldn't have such a divided society. But anyways, needless to say, I do think that Blade is a far superior film. I have the breaking down on the blog, point by point, why I think Black Panther is not as great as people think. The score I gave it is 6.5 out of 10, which is kind of an average movie. People seem to think this is low, but if you recall, for those of you that read newspapers, most average movies get 3 stars out of 5, this is what it is. It's actually higher than 3 stars, just because, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people won't, accept anything than a perfect 10. That's how our society is. And I kind of go into quite a bit of detail. So I will leave the blog description under my podcast description, and go ahead and check it out. I also use my rating system that I've used for a couple other movies that are found in the blog itself, so you can kind of check it out where I'm coming from and why I think some of these things that I'm rating on are kind of big, acting, directing, cinematography. Those are big things. My personal opinion, it's reduced to like 10% of the grade. So that's why I love this system, because, I was watching Blade Runner and I'm like, dude, I should give it a higher score. But, it's like these kind of scores are set and locked down. They kind of they hardly change for better or worse, which is why I like my rating system. So go ahead and check it out. If you enjoyed it, that's cool. If you didn't, hey, it's a Marvel movie. One of the main complaints that I have about the current social media is the acceptance of racism and bias if it's not a popular brand. For instance, this article, Catwoman screenwriter compares movie to fecal matter, says it had no cultural significance. This is cultural significance from a white man. That should just fucking stop you right there. So the whole reason why it is socially acceptable to be a racist asshole and be a white man is if you crap on a movie that didn't do so well. That's the same logic that the previous Marvel executive used to not have female-led movies. If you recall that was kind of bullshit, and everybody was like, oh, fuck you. But it wasn't that big of a deal, If it was a smaller studio, they would have boycotted, But this is, a white writer taking a stab at a movie he wrote, that he worked on, that wasn't financially good for him. Now, this might be kind of insensitive, but fuck this guy, You can't fucking tell me that a lot of people didn't feel equally representative at a time when Black Panther, it's like, hey, we should have had more. Well, we did, and this white writer is dissing one of those movies. From my personal experience, it's one of the few movies that a girl has actually asked me out to go out. My friend Sampet, I believe, she wanted to go see it, and I was like, okay. She's a big fan of Halle Berry. She likes popcorn movies, so I was like, fuck, I do want to take her out and watch this, but I don't want to pay for a bad movie. At the time, the DVD box sets of the animated adventures of Batman, BATAS, bats, they were offering a coupon for a coupon voucher for free Catwoman. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out of my way. I'm going to buy 2 of the special collector's editions and get 2 vouchers so I can take this girl out and to see the movie, right? I was going to buy them anyways, but I just jumped the gun and I supported it because I was like, yeah, good. But she was really busy and we ended up rescheduling and seeing something else because it wasn't playing anymore. So for this asshole, white writer, who's like, oh yeah, it had no cultural significance. Yeah, it did. Sampet is, she's, from Asia, South Pacific. She's got a beautiful tan on her, and she saw herself presented on screen. So it does have cultural reference. Maybe what this writer meant, it had no monetary incentive for his greedy ass pocket. So fuck that guy. Do you know what happens to a toad when struck by lightning? The same thing that happens. Oh my god, fuck that line and fuck that line so much. If you don't know who wrote that was Joss Whedon for the movie X-Men. And at the time that movie came out, speaking of racism, all the fucking fanboys were like, oh, the line's perfect. It's just Halle Berry can't act. She fucked it up. I'm like, fuck you guys. That's a shitty fucking line. Which was later reworked in, like, Firefly for, like, what will we call this land? Land. Rawr, dinosaur. It's fucking stupid. It doesn't work. But that's the kind of bullshit that we expect from, Joss Whedon. Not to mention that, he wrote a very horrible alien movie, and they blamed the foreigner. His fucking fans just were like, he can't be touched. It's like the anti-George Lucas. Whatever this fucker did, it was somebody else's fault. But last year when he signed on to help out with Justice League, his wife came forward and spoke really ill, and I've talked about the timing of this. This is fucking weird. His wife didn't have a problem before, this person started working for Justice League, which kind of, I know, it opens the can of worms of the conspiracy theory that, maybe she was sent some Disney lawyers to talk shit about him. Who knows, right? But what we know is that when those claims of sexual deviance from his ex-wife came forward, the fan website Whedon-esque, that's Whedon, last name esque, just gave up. They're like, fuck it, we're not going to support him anymore. Well, lo and behold, some of his followers still are on the media, like IO9, and a page that I'm not going to plug because I fucking hate them. They're from the UK, but it sounds something like Bleeding Cunts, not in the American horrible way, but in the British cunt way. Yeah, they were defending him. They were defending Joss Whedon, saying, oh, he didn't get fired from Batgirl, he quit. So, fuck that, If you read the horrible, horrible Wonder Woman script that was leaked online, you would know that this guy, sometimes he just writes shit. And the fact that, his excuse for the Batgirl movie was, I just didn't have a story to tell. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Do you think, the Friday the 13th movies had a story to tell other than, like, let's fucking scare the shit out of teenagers and kill them? Like, dude, what's so hard about writing a hero? Hero, problem, villain, solve, period. That's a fucking story to tell. It's so fucking easy. And it's not like the character hasn't had, like, any fucking comics. There's been a lot of great interpretations. If you don't have a story to tell, you can be like, hey, giant corporation, where do you see yourself putting this character? What kind of age bracket are we talking about? What's our target demographic? And fucking start from there. Maybe you go to Matt Reeves' office. It's like, hey, what are you doing with the Batman? And can we collaborate? That's how you fucking do it. But yeah, this person didn't do shit. He just wasted people's money, wasted people's time. And now it looks like, Warner Brothers is looking for a woman director and someone to write it, possibly more female empowerment. They are already producing a Harley Quinn movie or 2 or 3 because Margot Robbie, she set her foot down and she's like, fuck it, I'm going to produce this. I'm going to be also behind the scenes making this stuff happen. So there you go, guys. And the cool thing about this is that a lot of people were upset about this, not me. Zack Snyder likes a post on social media. That should be a plugin for Vero, Vero. It's a social network, a little bit more streamlined, less corporate than Twitter. So check it out. And Zack Snyder liked the post, making light of Joss Whedon exiting Batgirl. So there might be more to this story. I think that most people assume that Zack Snyder chose Joss Whedon to finish Justice League, where I think if that was the case, Joss Whedon, I've said it before, he probably didn't fucking step up to the plate. If a David Fincher had stepped on the plate, a better product would have been there. I think that, this guy, just Whedon, just fucking did the bare minimum. Or if he wasn't chosen by Zack Snyder, maybe Zack Snyder just had a working script. He's like, okay, if you're going to fucking change my movie, here's what you can do to make it 2 hours. And yeah, fine, that guy, fuck it. Just whatever. Maybe that guy will do a good job. I don't know. So I think that's what happened, and we're going to find out more with some of the media changes going on in Warner Brothers. So fuck yeah. Cool. Now, another thing that Zack Snyder did on social media was to post this picture. Apparently, it's a Zack Snyder CUT. Get it? Very, very whimsy. Um, and that kind of reminds me of the Shazam director, who's very active on Twitter and on Instagram. He's very whimsy, very playful, and I think Zack Snyder is that kind of a guy. There's a lot of humor in his movies that people don't often get. Like Krishner from Empire Strikes Back. If you remember, he wanted humor, but not gags, not jokes. There's a lot of humor that is not found on gags or jokes. And Zack Snyder is very funny. Also, the new director of Shazam, the original Captain Marvel, is very whimsy, very funny on social media. So a lot of people are kind of going, hey, wait a minute. There's been like a giant shakeup on DC and Warner Brothers. I'll go into it in a second. But the fact that they got rid of Joss Whedon like that, the same week where they announced a new VP of DC Films, it's freaking huge. In the same week, they announced a brand new VP of DC Films. Then Joss Whedon gets fired. They also said, we're looking for a female to write and direct, or one female to direct, one female to write. Batgirl, more women empowerment. And, we have Zack Snyder doing this, which is pretty fucking awesome. And it is no coincidence that they've been leaking two deleted scenes from Justice League. One was where Superman finds his black suit, just walking by in the ship, in the Kryptonian ship, and then also where he goes and meets Alfred. It was a scene teased on the previews. So I think that the Zack Snyder cut is coming. I think they're looking at Access Entertainment. I think Access Entertainment just took over the share of Rat Pack Entertainment, and it was like, what, let's just give the fans what they do, because Time Warner did give us a shout out, for 2016, because we purchased almost $5 billion worth of merchandise, not to mention the movies and, video games and stuff. So it's merchandise alone. So we're a big force, and it's kind of nice that they're listening to us. So much respect to Snyder. I like the fucking theatrical cut they gave us, because the team is the core of the movie. But with the Zack Snyder cut, we're going to get more than just a team. We're going to get more mythos, more themes, more mood, actual fucking directing, not just things happening. So, yeah, I'm fucking excited. So this is the big news, and this is what should be dominating the media right now. A woman, a really well-qualified woman, was made vice president of DC Films Group, as reported by The Wrap. One of the coolest things is that Walter Amada is the president of DC Films Productions, and he was responsible for the Conjuring franchise. Also, I believe something that was quite modest, but grew into one of the best films of last year, along with Wonder Woman. So, again, we're getting a lot more diverse, not to mention that, we have diversity, with Amada and Nong. I see this as a very, very wise move. And as soon as they mentioned this, we started getting, the Snyder Cut teaser from Snyder's Vero. It could just be a play on words, but still, it is gathering a lot of momentum. And also, Joss Whedon getting fired and stuff like that. So we are getting some pretty damn cool announcements. And I think what they're doing is that they're really getting their shit together. I think that, look it up for yourself. I think the problem might have been the producers who had more power as Christopher Nolan walked away. I think Christopher Nolan was a giant power player in Man of Steel, and keeping all the other investors and money people away from Zack Snyder and letting him do a fucking art film. His film is very artsy, no doubt about it. So I think that's what they're doing. If I was a betting man, I would say this new company is going to be smarter. They might be conducting more surveys through Warner Brothers and their fan base. And I think that we can actually move forward to, a much better stage for DC films. I don't think Warner Brothers is going to whore itself to, some other studio. I don't think they're going to sell DC Comics to anybody else. Like Marvel. Like Marvel sold to Disney after 2 fucking movies. Yeah. So, I mean, hey, at least we got a butchered edition of Justice League, but we're never going to get a Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. So, for all the people out there, yeah, sure, I mean, we got what we got with Justice League, but you're never going to see Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. So, yeah, I'd rather take my chances with DC. They have a much better track record since the 1940s, so whatevs. So yeah, I will do more research on Chantal. She seems to be really smart. I mean, all the things that she's worked on seems pretty damn awesome. So, hey, couldn't be happier. What if I told you that the X-Men were kind of similar to Doom Patrol, and that the Doom Patrol actually came before it? Yeah, Google that shit. Anyways, there was a man in a wheelchair who was kind of the father figure of all these teens with powers. No, it's not Xavier. It's the leader of Doom Patrol, that this Mexican awesome actor, Mr. Bruno Bichir, is playing. How fucking cool is that? I mean, I'm always happy to have, diversity, and the fact that, that he's from Mexico makes me happy. But the fact that he's a good fucking actor makes me even happier. I don't want just like a token Mexican actor. I want someone who's really good. And if you don't know the Bichir family, they have many actors. I wouldn't say they're like the Baldwins, but they have a lot of them. So, I like the fact that he's going to be playing, Dr. Niles Calder, also known as the Chief, not the Master Chief from Halo, but just the Chief, and he's going to be starring in the Teen Titans. It's the premiere TV show that the DC streaming service is going to debut with, along later this year with the Teen Titans. Young Justice. Young Justice Season 3. So yeah, it is pretty awesome. If you don't know much of Bichir's work, he worked on Narcos, which is kind of like about narcotic, trafficking and stuff like that. Definitely it's rated R, so hey, that's pretty cool. So yeah, check out some of his work. I mean, I'm excited to see what he looks like and stuff. I know that Dr. Niles Calder kind of appears as like a, kind of like a ginger, but I hate to break it to you, but Mexican is a nationality. If you think all Mexicans are one color, I think you need to use Google for something else. Case in point, Lupita Nyong'o. She's Mexican. Yeah, she is. So, anyways, I'm very excited, and let's get that trailer going. I want to see a trailer for Teen Titans Go. Not Teen Titans Go, but by the way, Teen Titans Go is having their cute little anime movie for little kids and stuff. It's got their following. So, cool, I guess. Speaking of teaser, oh my god. So this clip has been featured on, and at first oh my god, this is me being stupid. I thought it was like a leaked teaser for Man of Steel 2 or something like that, because the work they're doing on Brainiac for a TV show, fuck, it looks great. And then this is from the SyFy network. I'm just like, I don't know what happened. When I first heard about Krypton, I was like, why are you doing shows without superheroes? Why? I watched 10 years of Smallville without Superman, and I'm like, okay, come on, don't do that again. Although I love Smallville, but it was kind of like, dude, you have the technology to have, Superman on Supergirl, so why can't you just do, Earth 2 Superman, or Golden Age Superman, something different. So I wasn't really trusting the Krypton thing, unless, and this is kind of a weird theory of mine, I think it is wise to use SyFy Network, Fox, and CW to kind of debut new shows. Like the first season of this, and then have the Warner Brothers DC themed streaming network air the other episodes, or have the new episodes air on the streaming network first, because that way you'll create exclusivity in a product, for fans, but then all the other, people get to watch it. I recently was kind of saddened because I had scheduled all the shows, all the episodes of the new Star Trek from, I think, CBS on my Comcast recording machine, on my hard drive and stuff. And I don't know what happened, but they were all gone. All the TV shows were fucking gone, and I was gonna binge watch them, and I was like, fuck, they're gone. So now I have to get like a subscription to CBS or buy them, individually or as a season. So I think, that's what they were going for. I think that somebody was like, well, SyFy is investing this amount of money, it looks okay, let's go ahead and make an enhancement, because there were some changes to Krypton. If you look at the first instances, there are certain things that it looked more brighter, and it looked more with a lot more budget, So go ahead to SyFy Wire and to the official SyFy channel, and just look at the close-up, and they have a 1-minute preview of Brainiac. It'll blow you away. It certainly did me. So speaking of Brainiac, I thought of the Injustice video game, and I was like, wait a minute. I haven't played this in a while, by the way. My girlfriend bought me the deluxe edition of this, and she also bought me Assassin's Creed. I think she bought me Injustice for our anniversary, and Assassin's Creed Origin for my birthday. But anyways, I've been, just loving Assassin's Creed. I'm a big fan. And I went back to Injustice, and I was like, man, I want to play as the Turtles, And I was like, oh man, I need to finish the main story so I can get Brainiac as a, playable character. And lo and behold, I forgotten that she gotten me like the best version of Injustice 2, which includes all the DLC. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and buy the Turtles DLC package, and then the little notification pops up on the Xbox. You already own this product. I was like, what? So I hit download, and then I was like, Hellboy. I think I'll get that. You already own this product. What? It just gave me all of it for fucking free. I was like, yeah. So now I'm kind of hooked on Injustice, and I need to find the little metal pedals for my Xbox Elite that I took out and I can't find them anywhere. I have other replacements, but I like the original ones because they're a little bit bigger, bigger paddles and stuff. I don't want button smashing with my thumb, so I like to do the other ones. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, oh my god. So basically it's a geek streams come true, and you can download a lot of other skins and designs and stuff. I'm gonna be on it for quite some time, and it's really great. Frustrating if you lose a couple matches before you work out. So I highly recommend it, and it's a pretty damn cool gem. What you're seeing before you are the 2 Justice League titles that I need to catch up on. Justice League of America and the regular Justice League. Yeah. I need to catch up on these. And also the Doomsday Clock. I read issue number 1 already. I got 2 more to go. I will definitely need to do an entire podcast of just the just the comics that I've been reading. And, that's the cool thing about only having Aquaman, 1 movie to catch up on, because it gives me the whole year to catch up on this. Hopefully before Comic-Con, I'll have some, comics reviews. It'll be awesome. I might take some actual panels and pictures. Hopefully they won't mind, the YouTube police and stuff. So anyways, look forward to some of these awesome things. And, that's one thing that you encounter a lot of trolls who are like, you don't buy comics. I'm like, well, obviously I fucking do. Well, you don't read all of them. It's like, well, I need to catch up on it. I don't like to just forget about what issue number 29 of Justice League is when I have all these other ones to keep in mind. I kind of like to sit down and read, 7, comics of a storyline, because that's usually how long the regular storylines tend to be. And then they go to another storyline, and there's another storyline. So that's what I like. I like cohesive narrative. I kind of like, that kind of a thing. And, I don't like to just, go to Wikipedia and just read what fucking happened. I actually, like to enjoy the art. I used to be friends with this guy that I'm no longer friends with, and he would just like read, skim, read, skim. He wouldn't even appreciate the fucking artwork, and as an artist and writer, that fucking pissed me off. So, hey, whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna do some pretty cool reviews. I think the long overdue one that I want to do is Frank Miller's DK3, The Master Race. I got a lot to say about it. Cool. All right. One more thing to talk about, and then we will skedoodle. Now, one thing that was kind of interesting about the Black Panther movie is that it did remind me of another African comic book hero. It's from a made-up African nation. No, it's not Wakanda. And it's actually a really interesting character because it's kind of a progenitor of a lot of other superheroes. In the 1990s, Billy Zane, Titanic's Billy Zane, made a movie called The Phantom, which is kind of based on that, comic. Now, one of the things that really caught my eye is that, usually a lot of people kind of like do the research on comic books, but when it came time to talk about Black Panther, didn't acknowledge this because I don't know, maybe it's like too close home. There's a great legacy of the Phantom. The fact that he wore spandex. Also the fact that, his pupils were all white, like Batman. But also has some other similarities to, Black Panther. The fact that, it's a fictional African city. Many people donned the costume, and people thought that, the character was immortal. So for instance, people on the movie The Phantom, they're like, oh, I killed him before, he won't die, and it's actually someone's son that takes on the mantle, kind of like Black Panther. So yeah, it kind of reminded me of that movie. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna totally check it out. And one of the things that kind of popped into my head, I was just kind of messing around, was kind of like, hey, what if I watched The Phantom in black and white? Because there was a movie serial, back in the 40s and 50s. That's what the shared cinematic universe was. Just a movie serial. That's not like cereal you eat, but actual, series of films, serial. And look at this, The Phantom actually is less cheesy, but with black and white, it gets a little bit more context. And I watched it in HD in my Xbox One X, One S, not the X, but Xbox One S. And 4K television actually bumped it up to, as much resolution as I could, I think I was reading it was almost like 2K resolution or something like that. But it was really fucking good. And you can tell, The Phantom really benefits from this. Here is in the corridor, just kind of following, the bad guys and stuff. And one of the coolest stunts in this movie is that, he gets on top of this taxi, and he just hops on over all these other moving vehicles. Like it's no big thing. I mean, I've seen Jackie Chan do impressive shit, but this was cool. I imagine back in the 30s, if they did this stunt, they would have been like, holy fuck. It would have become really iconic. And even in the 90s, it was still a pretty iconic thing because they could have done it in green screen. It was right around the birth of CG and replacing stuff. And I like this last shot with him, after he does all that running on top of cars, just riding, the horse. Because you can see the two people, one policeman just being like, what the fuck? And then, another idea popped into my head. It was like, well, who would be the next one which would be the other movie? And I was like, fuck it, Dick Tracy, right? And oh my God, look at this. This looks like a classic, Warner Brothers crime movie, although it's a Disney one. And even though the color on, Dick Tracy is very, very pulpy and very Andy Warhol, primaries all the way. The fact that this cinematographer's work looks great in black and white, it's stunning. I mean, look at Madonna. She looks like Marilyn Monroe almost, very femme fatale. The nightclub is really well lit. You can see everybody's, handkerchief and things like that. You can even see the reflection on the dance floor in Madonna's shiny outfit. Which does cover. There's a particular scene where Madonna is wearing something revealing, and if you see it in color, is you can see kind of through the dress. Not very child friendly, but if you see it in black and white, you can kind of see it. It's a little bit more hidden. Kind of a nice trivia for you. And I mean, look at the city. This almost looks like Sin City. It's like. It just looks pulpy, with steam coming out of the rooftops and the water towers of New York, or Chicago, or one of those big cities. Here you have the character with no face, which I guess it resembles a lot to the Charleston comics of, The Question. So that's pretty damn cool, Here we have Dick Tracy walking with a kid, And this is an actual set, so you can tell what real sets do. They create these really beautiful hardline shadows, and a lot of people nowadays associate dark movies like this with it lacks humor, blah blah blah, and I'm like, I don't know. Mumbles was pretty fucking funny, and just look at this shot. You have a gigantinormous moon, and you have the, behind Dick Tracy, and you have a lamppost, and the iconic animated advertising, and even more buildings in the background. I suggest that you watch Dick Tracy. Then I got another idea. What if I watch Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow? And this one kind of sucked, I have to be honest. Not because of the story-wise or anything, but because they did a lot of CG, and it was around the time where they put like a nice opaque diffusion in the lens, so it kind of looks like a little airbrush kind of glow, and it made it seem like an even earlier movie. I have a really crappy copy on DVD of Metropolis before they cleaned it up, and it kind of looked like that in some areas. After the restoration of Fritz Lang, Metropolis, I was like, yeah, looks better. So, here you have Pepper Potts looking at some containers. I forgot it. Angelina Jolie's in there. She plays a badass. Again, with the glow, you don't get to see a lot of detail. Some of the aerial dogfights are pretty awesome in black and white, and, I recommend it. The giant robots were pretty fucking cool. And, I think that if they were to re-release this in black and white, they would have to do some kind of adjustments and maybe heightened the quality of the image, because this is a gem of a movie if you haven't seen it. But it doesn't quite work in black and white. Then I was going to do The Rocketeer, but I haven't been able to get to it. I was like, okay, I'll do The Rocketeer last, because that one is it's a cult classic. In the meantime, I got the idea to do The Shadow, Alec Baldwin, The Shadow, and fuck, look at that, look at that fucking silhouette, looks fucking awesome, right? Damn, what can I say? I mean, you have this beautiful shot on the bridge. These gangsters are, beating up some poor person. You can see the sweat. They're scared because they're hearing the Shadow laugh. Or here you see the villain, which is a descendant of Genghis Khan. Now, back in this time, there wasn't a lot of sensitivity to, the minority characters. However, that didn't stop Stan Lee from ripping off these type of characters and creating the Mandarin, Iron Man's main nemesis. Weird thing about this scene is that this tapestry becomes kind of alive and is very trippy, and the magic involved is kind of trippy, very fucking reminiscent of Dr. Fate. In fact, in this movie, the Shadow's inner sanctum is in New York, and guess where the Doctor, oh my god, there's a Doctor's Sanctum in New York also in the Marvel comics. Fuck, I was gonna say Dr. Fate, but no, it's Doctor Strange. Yeah, Marvel just doesn't have any fucking ideas, and it was kind of surprising. I was like, fuck Marvel. And then, Penelope Ann Miller, she always looks gorgeous, but in black and white, she looks like a classic movie star. Again, this close-up of the Shadow is pretty fucking great. We have a shot of actual location with enhanced visuals. I like this a lot because you can see hard shadows in the foreground created by actual objects, and in the background you kind of see kind of faded grays, either computer or matte painting, and that's the way it should be, because as you move more distant, things just kind of get diffused into the background, so that creates a very realistic fakeness, as I call it. Another beautiful shot of Penelope Ann Miller. Sorry guys, that's what marketing does to foreigners. Blondes are always intriguing for us. Hollywood. Oh my god. Tim Curry's in this movie. He plays such a fucking creep, dude. Creeping up on, Penelope Ann Miller's character of Miss Lane, by the way. Again, this Lane was prior to Lois Lane. Not a reporter, but the daughter of a scientist. And there's a great chemistry between her and the Phantom because she has a gift of read minds. And not the Phantom, fuck it. The Shadow actually can manipulate people's minds. So the Shadow is trying to manipulate her, and she's like, what are you doing? I can read your mind. So it's almost like a beautiful marriage right there. It's a beautiful allegory for marriage. You also have Sir Ian McKellen, kind of a great actor. He has a minimal role. He's the one creating this atom bomb kind of device, which, kind of reminded me of Vibranium from Wakanda from Black Panther. This highly advanced civilization has this magical mineral. Well, in this one is bronzium, which and in the movie they say that the ancient Chinese spoke highly of creating the origin of the world, and that's what we see in the intro to Wakanda. Vibranium. What does vibranium makes? Please don't say vibrators. That's disrespectful. Here we have more of the architecture of the Art Deco. Giant pyramids, fucking on top of skyscrapers. Beautiful. And, another last shot of the Shadow. Again, do yourself a favor and check them out. I will do maybe Zorro and not Buck Rogers. Well, kind of Disney's version of Buck Rogers. The Rocketeer. Probably next. I might include it on my podcast, maybe not. I don't know. But anyways, this has been a fun podcast. I will see you guys sometime soon. Not next week, because that's the Oscars, and I'll be busy with my predictions. And I'll be happy because I want my Mexican director Guillermo del Toro to win. God damn it! All right, see ya. Dile see ya, DC. Bye.